show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse show. The Drew and Fuse show. The Drew and Fuse show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Daft Punk's in the building. Fusemania, how are you, buddy?
I'm tired. I'm just forever tired from here the rest of my life. I'm married now. My money's gone. Everything's gone.
I hear it just goes downhill. Just don't expect anything to get better. It's all downhill. You need that coffee a little bit earlier, dude. What are you doing?
I just over here working, I just can't help it. I get it when I get it, It's the bump to get me through the next part of the day,
Oh, you can't do that. The old bumps that you used to do because all the fentanyl in it, right? So now you need to.
I don't do those bumps anyway. I don't do those bumps. But you know what I got finally for you guys? I got a new microphone right here. We're back in business.
Fucking time, dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, we got the new mic. We got the new Rode mic, which is a USB-C controlled mic, but it also has XLR on here. And for all you that are thinking about starting a podcast, here you go. Go get this mic.
Hey, anybody that's just doing anything on the web, I think there you go. Grab that mic. You don't need a sound card. It's all just plug and play.
Yeah, no sound card. It's awesome. I haven't been making it to the office as much just because time is short when we're recording this. So I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere. And we needed a mic for at home. So that's why I got this mic at home. And so far, it sounds pretty awesome, right?
Sounds way fucking better. Light years better. Well, the last episode was pre-recorded, but this episode we're doing a quick little recap here of the last couple weeks. I think we're both still trying to recover because the last couple weeks basically almost buried us.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. We were in Key West for the wedding for 8 days. Right before that at the bar, our general manager of the bar quit. So that was like going into the wedding that happened.
So those that you know that are just tuning in, Fuse got married. That's the wedding that happened in Key West. We are going to touch on that, but just so you know where we're at right this second. And his bar manager happened to quit right before that. I've been traveling and running around like a madman as well. And
you were in California to Key West, back to California to Vegas to somewhere else. Weren't you somewhere else too?
Just back to home for at least that was like the last couple weeks. I've been in Vegas
well, you've worked every night
a lot lately. Yeah.
If you weren't traveling, you've worked every night. So
yeah. I've been in Vegas a lot. So we flew over to Key West to go to the wedding. We're going to talk about that more, but then flew home, went straight to a party that I DJ'd for Disney, took an Uber directly there, and then DJ'd a party for them. And then went to Vegas for the DMS party, which was awesome, man. Thank you so much to everybody that came out. Fuse, unfortunately, was getting married, getting hitched, but we had such an awesome turnout, and I loved the venue this year. Thought it was, wide open so everyone could, see what was going on, but mingle. No, it was a really cool party.
Lamona Rosa was the name of the venue. It was by the Corner Bar Management Group, which is the same bar ownership group that we did the party with last year. Only last year it was at Commonwealth, and they weren't actually open that night. They opened it especially for us. This year we moved it over to their other location, Lamona Rosa, and I actually haven't been there, and it was sad that I had to miss it. But Drew played, B-Sides played, Icon played, Phenom played, Scooter played. I heard from lots of people. It was a good time. I had some FOMO from that one.
Yeah, it was a party. I was talking to everybody, and honestly, everyone's so kind and so many fans of the show. So really appreciate everyone just coming out, and it was fun. And fortunately, I flew in and out, so I missed the rest of the parties. And so I have nothing to unfortunately talk about Mex at all. And I even ran through the the showroom itself. So because it was such a busy week, I was just happy to even make the DMS party. So, is what it is. There it is.
You've been to Vegas 1,000 bazillion times, so it's okay.
I do love me some Vegas. It just cost me a lot of money, but I
Every
still
time. I hate it for that reason. I hate it because I have no self-control. That's why I hate it.
that's why I love it. The chaos. Um, can't be there for more than 2 days though, or I'd probably die.
Did you go
So
studying at a library out there?
yeah, I helped put some girls through college. They were they're saying they needed that after school program. So I was like, okay, let me make sure. Let me make sure you do that. May or may not have just seen the sunlight coming up. May or may not have missed my flight and had to pay for a new flight home. All these things are hypotheticals.
Oh,
But
boy, oh, boy.
it was great. So yeah, there's a quick little recap on that. Sorry, we don't have much more to say on that, but we do have, if you missed it because it happened last week, go back to YouTube and tune into our crate hackathon where we rip apart a bunch of DJs crates. Those are always a good time.
Got a
I've been
message.
enjoying these.
I know you're gonna enjoy it. I've got a message from a few guys already that say these poor DJs that you guys are just gonna rip their crate a new one. And they might not be wrong. It hasn't happened yet, but if you're listening to this, it already has happened. We're speaking in the future right now. And
Go watch that recap on YouTube on the Crate Hackers channel.
right.
Our sponsor of this show.
Yeah, sponsored by Crate Hackers. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, make sure you go over there and check it out. They got the banger button. It's active. There's some other cool new features. Don't think 4.0 is still live yet, but it's going to be here soon. And that's what we keep hyping up.
Yeah, and you get us once a month ripping apart your crates and going through other stuff. So go and tune over there, check it out, follow them for all the updates.
Speaking of sponsors, we just got a shout out real quick. Direct Music Service using the promo code Drew and Fuse Show will get you 30% off your first month of activation. Now, with that being said, don't message me on the DMS Instagram account and say, oh, well, you guys said it'll get me 30% off the whole year, because that's not how it works. It's 30% off your first month of activation. And if you listen to the show, that's how I say it every time. So don't try to dupe me on that. I know who you are.
We're also not sponsored by Liquid Death. I'm bringing that one back because I have a bunch of these in my fridge. Bringing that back. Bringing back the old school there.
Dang, it has been a while since I've gotten a Liquid Death sponsorship drop at my house. So maybe it's about that time I fire up the old Amazon and have them sponsor me again.
There it is. Hey, they're delicious. So day 2 of not drinking. So let's see how many days I can chalk up. Hence the Liquid Death order.
So if you guys are listening to this and you see him drinking, just slap that drink right out of his hand.
It'll probably happen sooner than later. It probably won't make it past the weekend, but I'm working on at least a couple of days.
We got a great guest for you guys today. Such a great guest. He's the only person that's been on the show multiple times. And why not a third? Well, you know why a third? Because he DJ'd my wedding. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So help us welcome DJ Demand.
What's up, guys?
Look at that. He's got the Bucky shirt on.
Bucky
Dang.
shirt. I got my my Key West mug right here.
Dang, you went full tourist on us.
Oh, 100%.
What trinket can I buy at every stop?
It's like a half work trip, half vacation for me. So made the most out of it for sure.
So Key West is how many miles from New Jersey?
It's like around 1,600 miles. I think the whole trip total was like 3,300 miles, with the stops that I made and everything. So
if you weren't using synthetic oil in that car, you'd need an oil change.
Look, we spoke about this a long time ago, and all my options as far as like flight. Could I, do I fly down and rent gear? Do I drive the van down? Like, do I trying to figure everything out? And then, ultimately I was like, I'm going to fit every single thing I possibly can in my Honda CRV, squish it all in there, including DJ HiKevin is my assistant. And yeah, it's February. It's slow in Jersey for weddings. I was able to take the time off, made a 10-day vacation out of it. I went to see my brother and visit Icon in South Carolina. Then I went to Disney for a day, came down to the Keys to do the wedding, and then basically the same thing in reverse. So, great trip.
I want to go into detail on some
Yeah.
of these things, but you we put out there to everybody who the fuck has gear near Key West, because we were gonna have you fly in, right? And everyone's like, nope, nope, nope. Nobody would
No.
respond to us. We couldn't get anybody to do anything or give us a time of day. And then you're posting that you're coming down, and then you get all these people blowing you up like, yo,
Oh my God. The night of the wedding, people are like, why didn't you hit me up? I'm like, what? Where were you?
Right.
The craziest, one of the craziest coincidences, your videographer. I'm like, when I get to a wedding, the first thing I do is go to the video guy. Hey man, if you need to, if you want a direct feed, here's all you need to do is give me an XLR. I'll take care of it. So I'm walking around trying to find the video guy. I look up and I'm like, Joe, I know the guy. I'm 1,600 miles from home. It turns out this guy is a videographer in Jersey during the warm months, and then during the cold months he goes down to the Keys so he could work 12 months a year. I knew this guy, and he's like, yo, why didn't you tell me you're coming down, man? I would have hooked you up with my buddy who's a DJ. He would have got you gear. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
I know,
but it worked out because we made it work. We fit everything in the car. We brought the stereo tubes. The other video guy said he never saw that building look as beautiful as it was when it was all lit up with the lighting and stuff like that. So I mean, I think we really left an impression on them.
yeah.
I think it looked great. The Stereotubes definitely helped out with the way things kind of had to be lit up for the first dances and stuff. So that was awesome to have those there.
And I took a bunch of notes. I own 4 Stereotubes, and I was taking notes from you the whole time, and we'll go through on my all the notes that I took away from it, because I'm always learning. I don't get to see wedding DJs, and it's always like, oh shit, like I like that little touch. And I don't have my Stereotubes. I'm kind of half Jimmy rigged my way through it, but you had it so dialed in with all these different aesthetics. So I need to set them up in my room and just take time.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like. It's the same thing as like a Serato library. Like everybody has their own way of doing things. So I know like some of the guys from Texas, like Tony Pre and Nate, like they use those tubes and they showed me a way how to use it. And some other guys from my company were showing me, and I just kind of picked what worked for me. But we were going over a little bit the programs, and I have no problem. Later on, I'll show you how I did some stuff.
Because I'm like I was this close to just getting that AX1, the 80J Wolf mix.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna get that to do all DMX it, but we'll see. That might just solve the problem, just doing that. So
to give you guys a little insight, we'd picked Key West because we really enjoyed it down there, and in the month of February, it supposedly never rains in Key West, and in fact, I think of the whole month of February, and at least the entire time that we were there too, the only day that it rained was the wedding day. So to give you guys a little more insight on that, it was an all outdoor venue. It's kind of the reason we had it there. And the only rain option is putting up tents. And the other thing is, if it's a thunderstorm with like lightning and stuff, they just cancel the wedding and you're kind of screwed. Like that's just how it goes. So the whole week kind of leading up to it, we were, sitting there. Ashley's crying because, she's put on all kinds of work, all the table decor, all the signs, everything. She pretty much handmade, she did all the design work for, like, she did everything like with Canva and like her Cricut printer that I bought her and like all the stuff. So she put a lot of work into it. And, we ended up having to get rain tents, which ended up costing us like another, I want to say it was like 2,500 ish, just like the day before, basically. And then the other thing that kind of sucked is the food at our at like the welcome dinner that we did at one of the bars ended up being like double the price for some reason. So we ended up spending like an additional $1,500 for that. So right before even we're flying down, we're like, everything's paid for. All we got to do is like, cover our spending for the trip and everything's done. Nope, not the case. Extra $4,500 had to go out just for that stuff right there.
And what I love about this episode for all you that are listening is, we're all DJs and, we're selling it. We're like, think about this part from the groom's side, right? We don't always get the bride and groom's story on this side. So it's a good insight into the things that you got to be aware of, or even give them a heads up on that they might not know of.
Right. And I feel like all kind of the last couple weeks leading up to it that we knew that there was predicted rain on that day, so kind of leading up to it, we were just like, whatever, like it's whatever. We're just gonna have to roll with it. But that's why you book a professional DJ that can roll with the punches. And because, you know, I'm just saying, like, there are people that would freak out in the situation and be worried about like themselves and what they need to do. And then not only that, but like having Demand and Kevin there, it really helped with the like making sure stuff went on time. And we had a day of planner, and she was fine, but her assistant kind of took over at one point, and it just, I'm not going to say like she didn't do a good job or whatever, but she probably wasn't as thorough as she needed to be with some of the members of the wedding party and their level of drink, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I saw your wedding party, and that might have been a little hard to control as is. They had us, they may or may not have had us buying shots from the bar next door, just as we were walking up.
It's funny though, coming from Jersey, we don't have that separate wedding planner at every single party that's tying everything together. So my just natural instincts were like, let me just jump in and take care of this and make sure that everything happens. Even like when we were talking about cutting the cake, I think like I was trying to come up with a game plan. I probably could have just sat back and let you guys figure it out and tell me what to do. But I was like, no, you know what? I want to get the most amount of dancing in. It's pouring rain right now. Do this and then do this and then do this. And it was like, we made it work. By the way, fun fact, not so fun. The day of your wedding, the only place in the entire United States that it was raining was Key West. You could have picked any other place in the entire country and it would have been clear sky.
Yeah. Boy,
Well,
but
everywhere I was that whole week when I was flying around, it felt like everywhere was raining. So it must have moved after that, because I went back to California, it was raining. I went to Vegas, it was raining. And so,
and I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the planner, because she did help us out majorly with the tents. One of the things that we didn't really even think to do is like the week of, she was like, let me check with the venue and see if there's another event there the day before and if they're using tents. So what she did is she checked with the venue. Sure enough, there was another event going on the day before. They had some tents up already. So we were able to kind of piggyback off their tents, to where it saved us quite a bit of money for them to leave those there and then just put up a few more additional tents. So that was a big help right there. That probably saved us $1,000 or $1,500 just right there.
What I'd like to do is run through the top of the day and just kind of give the little things from maybe Fuse could say what he really loved from a groom's perspective. Demand can say what he was looking out for, and just me being a guest, I'll say what I noticed.
Yeah, so kind of the start of the day, most couples, they get a little weird with seeing each other the day before or whatever. And Ashley and I really didn't care about that. The only main concern is she didn't want me to see her in her dress until she was like fully all done up, which is cool by me. I was for that. So we kind of woke up. We had an Airbnb with her parents, and all the brides came over there. I left about 11, and the bridesmaids were there at like 8 a.m. starting with hair and makeup and all that. So I probably left about 11 a.m. with Ashley's younger brother. We went over to my buddy Murph's place, and he was in the wedding party. And then from then until about almost like 3:30, I think they kept getting ready. And then at 3:30, Ashley and I did like a first look. We got pictures. And then basically the ceremony started at 5:15. So from 3:30 to 5:15, basically we were doing pictures and kind of just walking around. And the photographer we had, I really just want to say I really enjoyed too, because I've worked with photographers where they're like taking the couple and they're stealing them for forever, and then it's just gone, and then there's too many pictures being taken. This guy was great. He was like, All right, let me get your picture here. Okay, good. Next one, next person, come in. Okay, good. You know, and like all the photos from the previews that he sent us look great already. So I'll kind of stop there for the moment and let the man say kind of what he had to do up until that point.
If the weather was nice, I wouldn't have had to do anything until about 3 o'clock. But we're checking the weather, and I was just up at 7. I don't know why I was up at 7. I walked down to the just did some sightseeing on my own and everything. But the rain didn't start till about noon. I wanted to check out the venue ahead of time. It was walking distance from the hotel that we were at. And I just walked up, and I'm like, okay, I see that the tent people are there already setting up. So I just kind of like waved around, and eventually I found a guy. I think it was Matt or Mike, like one of the guys from the venue, who was super nice. And he was like, yeah, come on in, I'll show you the place. So he was able, even though we already, during the planning, did a little walkthrough over FaceTime when you were down there. Like, he walked me through the whole venue, showed me everything, showed me where we were, which I was completely covered. No matter what, rain or shine, I was going in the same spot. We're behind, the whole setting is this beautiful Audubon house, 1840s, I think it was built. And there's a porch that I'm on, and then an upstairs balcony. So I'm covered. No matter what, I'm covered. I'm in the same spot no matter what. Unfortunately, there was no place for me to like store stuff, because I would have brought everything in ahead of time and then just set it up right before, but that wasn't possible. So we just dealt with it, but at least now I knew where I was going. So we did a little site check at around 10 a.m. maybe or so. And then I just came back when it was time to set up. Obviously left a little bit extra time.
How was that loading?
Not bad, because right where there was the tent where everybody was dancing and everything, there was a side entrance. So that's where we came in from. So everything was pretty smooth. There was a little bit of rain bringing everything out of the car, and then we were under the tent. And then we just loaded it right up to where we were. I set up one remote speaker all the way on the other side of the property where the Sweetheart table was. I had an Everse 8, and I connected my Shure QXD microphone. I have like a body pack that goes right to XLR. So like I was able to broadcast. I couldn't believe how well that worked. I mean, it was crystal clear.
Great.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna be using that anytime I'm in a big venue or anything like that. But so it had one satellite speaker. I had 2 Evox 12 speakers, the subs and the tops, and then I brought a Pioneer controller, a 6-space rack with everything built in, and then the Astera tubes for the lighting. And we were able to set it all up before anybody came. Weather was raining, but not too bad when we were setting up. And then that brings us to, I guess, where we're meeting up here right before the ceremony.
I want to interject two spots. One, for Fuse, it does go to show, like, really getting those first look pictures helps move everything along, right?
Yeah.
That's where you're able to get all the stuff done, because that's what honks up everything. And it's a band. You have the Evox 12s, which is a 15-inch speaker. It's the worst name of all time.
I know.
But it has a 15-inch speaker. And I talked to you when you got there, and I was like, oh, what's that noise ordinance like? And so what did they tell you? Did they see your speakers and go, oh, fuck, this is going to be loud? Or how do you cover any of that?
One of the reasons we booked that specific spot over another venue down in Key West was because there was no noise ordinance down there.
Right. So that's the thing. I didn't think there was going to be an issue. We did a sound check during the day, and the planner comes running over to us and turn it off right now, like yelling at us. And I'm like, what's the problem? We're just doing a sound check. And she's like, it cannot be this loud. And I'm like, I'm just, of course, I'm like, guessing. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I'm like, I went out the night before. We are a block away from Duval Street, which is where all the bars are. Like, they're blasting music till 2 o'clock in the morning. I know this is not going to be an issue later. So of course, when nobody's there, it sounds like we're, just the assholes that are just blasting it. But like, no, okay, fine, sure, no problem. We did the sound check, we're good. But like, I was a little bit nervous after that, but nobody said anything to us. And again, I went to the guy from the venue. I said, look, I don't want to get you guys in trouble. If we're too loud at any point, you just come up, let me know. I'll lower it. Never happened once. And we were as loud as we needed to be, as far as that stuff goes.
I was just curious because
outdoors you never know.
Outdoors, I wonder. I always try and sound check and like turn down the sub. I want to make sure it's loud enough, but not piss anybody off, because I want to turn the subs up later.
Sure.
So I would just wonder if you had any tricks for that, but that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to be realistic about it. I didn't want to, get in trouble. But
Yeah.
it definitely sounds different when there's nobody around and you're just playing music for
Yeah.
no reason at all. It sounds like, but it was good.
We
It was no problems.
we looked into the Hemingway house, and that was the reason we didn't book, because there was a noise ordinance after
Mhm.
like 9 p.m. there or something like
Mhm.
that. So we were like, nah, like we don't want to do that. Nobody wants to go to a party where it's like, all right, now you guys got to turn it down.
Mhm.
One of the nice things that kind of happened, once it's like 3:30, he's set up. We get these pictures taken. We move over to the Audubon house where the ceremony and reception is all in the same area, and the rain stopped for a little bit. It stopped enough to let the ceremony happen. It stopped for that. Basically, the cocktail hour, and through like toasts and almost all or I should say, stopped for the ceremony, for the dances, and mostly through the toasts.
Yeah, I think it was the last toast that it really started to kick up the rain, and which happened to be the longest toast.
Right, right.
I saw everybody looking around. The videographer is like wiping his lens down. I'm like, okay, come on, let's hurry up here. Because right after this, we're going to go to dinner and everybody's going to go to their tables where they're under tents. So,
Right.
but I was so happy for you guys that like the ceremony and all the formalities you were able to do without the rain there.
Right.
That was amazing.
I mean, that was really the main thing. And then, we got food, and it started like dumping like Forrest Gump style rain, like biblical stuff down
Well,
there,
wait,
to where
to interject, was this all planned or did you guys switch any things around? Was that like
Uh,
the timeline was how it
Yeah.
played out for the day, or
Yeah,
did you guys
it
move
actually
anything around?
it actually did work out that way because the seating was in a completely different area than the dance floor. We spoke about it ahead of time, and I really believe once you have their attention, let's just get through everything. So we did introduction, first dance, parent dances, all the toasts, the blessing, all in a row while everybody was just standing on the dance floor area, which was under a tent. And then we could, the plan was send everybody back, do dinner, and then bring them all back to do the cake cutting. And then bam, we're on the dance floor already, party till the end. So
right.
nothing really changed as far as the order of
No, just the length of the
Yeah.
the toast is the only thing that ended up changing. But it was all good, and everybody's speech I thought was great.
Mhm.
The food for the day went great. The plan of just the flow of everything. And I was telling Ashley and the man, you both could probably attest to this, but like the thing that I was really amazed about through the toasts and through the dances was that like everybody was so attentive. Like
Mhm.
they didn't move. It wasn't like there was chatter. How sometimes you'll be doing a first dance for a bride and groom, and they're sitting at the tables and they're talking, and like you're like, is anybody paying attention to the bride and groom right now? But like I felt like the whole time, like everybody was listening and watching, and that was really cool for me. I made me feel good, like everybody wanted to be there for us.
I think, and that's part of it is I think the whole destination wedding thing. I mean, if somebody likes you guys enough to travel all the way to go to your wedding, like they're there for you guys. It's not like there's so many times when you're DJing a wedding and you see the guests that are like, the second cake comes out, that table's leaving. That wasn't
Right.
the case. Everybody was there for you guys partying, rain or shine till the very end. And you could tell that everybody wanted to be there and everybody was just so happy for you guys and didn't, we'll get to it, but embraced the weather. It didn't even matter,
Right.
So,
Well, I'll say the food was great, and it was
yeah.
cool that you could hear the music perfectly. And I even text a man for he snuck in a couple little songs, just like poking fun. What was the one was
Oh, it
I
was
can see clearly now the rain is gone.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
like
And
bad
then
bad
here
choice for
comes
that
the
one.
sun, but the Beatles, here comes the sun. And I was like, oh, look at this
Wishful
guy.
thinking, wishful thinking.
But I love the Beatles, and it's funny. My little nephew that was there, he's only 5, and it's just funny the things that comes out of a kid's mouth, because you just never know what they're gonna say. And I'm standing over by where our like sweetheart table is when "Here Comes the Sun" comes on, and he just goes out like so loud and out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh my God, the Beatles! I love the Beatles!" And it's just like one of
Well,
those things.
it's so funny because so many people were coming up to me, especially during dinner, going, "Oh my God, I love the soundtrack," and I'm like, Yeah, Fuse made the whole thing. I mean, you guys, so during our planning, you didn't want to give me any requests for the dancing. Like you were like, just do your thing. I kind of forced you to give me some, but you had a vibe that you wanted for the background music, the cocktail hour, the dinner, all that type of stuff. And I
Right.
basically took that, added in some of my own stuff, tried to include Simo's there. I included a couple Simo edits, like I was purposely like, whoever was part of the crew. I always like to, throw those guys a little bit of a nod. But I think that like everybody really enjoyed that. I'm glad that you heard it well, because again, I was in a completely different area DJing. I didn't even know how,
So
yeah.
a question for both of you is, with a groom that personally, I mean, and he gives you way too much stuff, right? But you're still like, I want to throw these in. Do you feel like you have to do that? Do you feel like you want to do that? I'm asking for the DJs that are like, that get the Spotify playlist, hit play, and call it, fuck it, man. I don't care. This is what they gave me. Or do you like still try and interject?
Well, I know Fuse was trying to help me by saying, hey man, I'm just going to make a Spotify playlist. You could play it and enjoy yourself. And I was like, no, I'm traveling across the country to be here. Even if you give me the songs, I still want to mix them. I'm not going to just sit here and play a playlist. So I was happy. Me with my brides and grooms, I always say the more information, the better. I mean, you could give me a Spotify playlist with 100 songs. I'm not going to play every song, but it gives me an idea of the vibe that you want, and it helps me nail it better. So I'm happy to get those requests, and if I can, you have a vision. So I just wanted to, kind of make that happen. Especially for the downtime, because that's the time when it's like you could really make it yours. Like during the dancing time, we're all gonna play, Usher, yeah, and all that stuff. But during the downtime, I want to make it yours. So, we were in Key West. We set a good vibe for that, I thought.
Yeah, and for anybody that's listening, I was kind of particular about the music because I didn't want it to be overly like reggae islandy, and I didn't want it to be like overly like Spanish, and then I didn't want it to be like too Long Beach dub rock either, because I wanted to include like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So like, like we had like, I think like there was a little like Less Than Jake in there. There was the Ross One, the California Radio, that when we had Drew's friend Jungle Josh on here, that song he produced. We had some Jimmy Buffett, we had some Incubus, we had like some Sublime,
I wish I hit
Modest Yahoo. A lot of stuff.
I wish I wish I hit record, but I kind of just want to go back and like redo that set, like song by song.
I loved it.
And
you mean you did hit record?
Yeah,
And
live from
right. It's a live from Key West.
Yeah, okay.
Coming
Erase that.
soon.
Go back and post. Get rid of that and ready. And
Yeah.
so I recorded the cocktail hour, and I can't wait to post that. We're good.
Dude, I would actually love that, because it's all music I want to listen to,
Yeah.
that was the thing. And then I knew for Ashley too, that's what she felt like. And the other thing is, and we've talked about this specifically, that you want the dinner to set the tone for the party. So like for me, it was like I didn't want it to be too mellow or like too over the top. I wanted it to be like just enough to kind of like keep people going, while we're sitting in eventually what was sitting in the rain waiting for the next part of the thing to happen. So
and as a guest, I would say I paid attention to every song. So DJs, if you think nobody's paying attention, then you're completely wrong. Everybody is paying attention. Everybody at my table, and it wasn't only DJs at my table, but every single person was commenting on every song. So it does totally matter, and I could hear every song, and it definitely helped carry the vibe.
Yeah. And I used to think that it didn't matter so much, and it wasn't really until we started the podcast and talking to more DJs during dinner that it definitely does matter. It matters.
I was always guilty of that. In the beginning, it's a dinner mix. I play my dinner mix, and I made it. It's me DJing, but I play a dinner mix. Now it's like, no, you use that time to that is your reading the crowd time. Like feel it out, see who's bobbing their heads or singing along to songs during. I love dinner, man. It really does help set you up for what comes afterwards. The dancing.
But
and let's hit it.
Oh. Yeah, I enjoyed that, and you guys did a great job. And then basically when dinner was over, Ashley and I kind of hopped around to so basically there was two main tents for dinner that ended up the way kind of the seating worked. There was one tent, and then kind of off to the side was another tent with the rest of the tables. And we kind of hopped over to the other side just to kind of chat with everybody over there. And then like by the time we were kind of chatting with everybody over there, it was time to like get to the cake cutting, which at this point in the night, the really heavy stuff was coming down pretty good. You know, the other thing about Key West is it doesn't hold water well. So once it starts raining, there's like a small flash flooding happening. So basically, there was, let's just say when we moved over to start the cutting of the cake, there was some water on the ground, but nothing crazy at this point. And that's when you suggested we just do it, bring everybody over and get the party started. And then basically that's what happened. We did a little cake cutting, and Ashley went and changed out of her dress because by that time her dress was like soaked. It was like one of those dresses made of, I don't even know what kind of material you would call it, but it was like really retaining the water. So she was saying it felt like it was like 50 pounds, but she went and changed right after the cake cutting to the, like whatever you call it, the next dress for the night. And, you know, that's when the party kind of started happening under the tent in front of like where the ceremony happened.
Right.
And
So-
you're saying it doesn't retain water. We were standing in basically a lake.
Right.
It
That's what I was just
felt
getting. By that
flooded.
point, it was like we were standing in and you know 3 or 4 inches of water, and my shoes and my socks were like soaked at that point. And that's how I felt. I was like, well, once my feet are wet, I'm just wet. So it didn't matter to me at that point.
So as we're doing the cake, I'm looking out, and basically what's happening is there's like I said, I'm undercover, and then there's a tropical storm in front of me, and then there's the rest of the party under a tent, and right in front of me is where the dance floor was supposed to be, but now it's like I got to project the music through a storm to this crowd of people, and me, you know, I know you have a fun crowd because, by the way, this is a great tip for anybody traveling or anything like that. I went out with you guys the night before. So I knew it was going to be a fun crowd. I was paying attention to what songs people were, you know, singing along to when we saw the cover bands and stuff like that. I love doing that. I thought that was, I already had an idea of like what was going to work just from hanging out with everybody the night before. So I knew it was going to be a good crowd, but still some part of me was like, what if the rain is so bad that like they're just going to stand there and wait until the wedding's done, and then they're going to go to a bar where they could be inside? Like, what if I can't get anybody to dance? And I'm like, I'm freaking out. So we finished cutting the cake, and I'm like, let's just go right to it. They're already standing under the tent, and I start playing for the family kind of stuff first, you know, like I have right here, like the Jackson 5 and Oh What a Night and stuff like that, you know, like just the typical stuff I would play towards the beginning of a wedding. And I'm looking and I'm seeing people dancing, but I feel like, again, there's a tropical storm in between me and the people. And and you know, you said that you felt comfortable having me and Kevin there as guys that can go with the flow and make it work with whatever. Now, there are couples that would have let this ruin their wedding night, and that would have been like, well, I guess we're just going to stand here under the tent, and that's that. And then that would have been the whole party. Within a couple of songs, you and Ashley decided, let's go out in the rain. She had her umbrella, you know, which made for some great pictures too. And you were like, again, like you said, screw it, I'm already wet, let's just get wetter. And you're out there dancing, and it was just a very like awe moment. And I already saw the previews. You got some great pictures of that. And I just felt like every song I played, 2 more people came up and joined you. And then, like, you know, before you know it, the whole family's out there. And then I look up, and like within 10 minutes, all 80 or so people, however many people are there, everybody was just raging in the rain, sideways rain, craziness. There was nobody left under the tent. It didn't matter. Everybody was like, forget it, shoes off, pants up, let's go. We're doing this right now. And I mean, there wasn't one person there that wasn't completely drenched by, you know, 5 minutes after that. It was wild. I mean, the rain was so bad that even though we were completely covered, at one point I reached and I touched my computer. My whole computer's wet. My whole controller's wet. And Drew, Simo, a couple of the Cincy guys, they came up, and everybody just started grabbing tape and garbage bags, and they made a garbage bag fortress around my gear. I mean, it was not anything pretty to look at, but it kept the party going. By the time by the time the party was done, everything was dry when I put it away. But like that saved the night, because I'm sure eventually something would have shorted. But I mean, literally,
that was the first thing I thought of, because the rain was coming in sideways,
you.
and I was like, no,
Thank you for
like,
that.
you run up there and jump. And I actually felt like when me and the other guys ran up there, I felt like everyone followed us to go dancing like right away. I didn't even think there was a break. And you might not have realized that because we were jimmying that stuff, but I think everyone was dancing already before that even happened.
Yeah, it was like me freaking out and then looking up and being like, wow. Like, I mean, every single song, everybody's going nuts. You're all soaked. The one guy that kept spilling drink, every single song, he would spill a drink on himself.
Connor.
Connor. But like, oh my God, everybody, it could have ruined your wedding. And instead, I know for me, not just because we're friends, probably top 5 moments ever at a wedding, and unforgettable. Nobody will ever forget that. Not just because it was a beautiful destination, all that, but because of the rain and the fact that it just, I think it enhanced it almost. I don't wish rain on anybody, but I mean, you guys handled it, I think, as good as anybody ever could have handled that.
Well, yeah, I think it's Ashley and I, we just never fight like really about anything except for when there's alcohol involved and she wants to stay out until 4 a.m. and I want to go home and sleep. That's usually the root of all of our fights. So I think too, it's like just a good testament to like her and I too, where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. We're going to have, we're going to have fun. What I will say is something that we've preached on the show before and, kind of how I felt about it and like getting soaked and wet is like, if your bride and groom aren't out there leading the charge, the battle won't happen. It's like you got to be the guys out there, like, this is what we're doing and we're embracing it. And
if you guys if you guys said screw it, we're just gonna hang out at the bar, everybody would have followed your lead, for sure.
Right.
I tell couples that all the time. But
and by the way, side note, star of that party.
Oh, he was great.
He was living his best life a few times throughout that.
One more note, with everything that happened, the traveling, the weather, everything, the hardest thing for me to do as a DJ that night was to call you David.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I'm sure.
To not call you Fuse was like, okay, what's his name again?
Even Marty, Marty, our officiant, he's only ever known me as Fuse. So it was a struggle for him as well. And he was so nervous, throughout the whole thing. He didn't want to mess any of that up for us. But I think it was great. And it was very much him, which is what we wanted it to be. That's why we asked him to do it. We wanted that, just the casual kindness of it. And yeah, I've talked to Ashley and she's, mentioned the same thing. And I know we've probably told you, but there's nothing that I would change. I wouldn't change the rain. I wouldn't change any of it because it just was. And to me, the day was like, looking back on it, it's like, I wouldn't change anything. It was perfect. I really think that it was as good as can be.
I wanted to compliment you on a couple of things that I took away from Demand, and maybe a few as well. Your announcing, I thought was perfect. I really loved. I don't always have an assistant, especially with traveling. So I thought it was really good that you were always out front, and anytime you had to do anything, Kevin was stepped in and did the stuff. With your card, you had the little SCE card in the back. I was like, that's bro.
This is my no card. There's nothing on it now, but this is my no card, and then this is what I read off of. Yeah, I mean, why not? It's it's not obnoxious. It's not a big like billboard or anything like that. But it's
huge. What exactly is that? Because I was trying to explain that to a buddy, but I was like, that was like such a cool little touch. That's so basic. That was like you're really thinking of details. Because
so this is what I do every wedding I do. I print out my paperwork here. There you go, David and Ashley, right there. This is from your wedding. This is all the paperwork, everything from the main everything like we all have main details, ceremony, the introductions, all my notes here, names nice and big so I can't forget it. And then all I do is I every weekend I just cut them up. I put them on it. I tape it to a note card, and I ordered these off of like Vistaprint. I just got like 100 of them or whatever, and it's just,
really.
So yeah, I just went on Vistaprint, just uploaded my, the company logo and my name, and just like, because I never liked reading off of a phone. I feel like it's like people are like, oh, he's reading a text message or something. I mean, obviously they know what I'm doing, and I just don't trust it. I'm still old school, where at least like you're lining everybody up, and one of the bridesmaids isn't there, you cross it off, or the flower girl's too afraid to, so like, yeah, this is how I show up when I line everybody up. And then when I read, I just kind of read off of this. And like I said, it's not too big where it's like obnoxious or anything like that.
So you just get like a little glue stick and glue it to the back of that. What's the size of those? Just curious.
So I have this is my tape dispenser, but it's a record
That's
tape
so
tight.
awesome.
dispenser and scissors, and I make it every time. I don't know what size these cards are. 6.
You know,
6 or
just
so,
a note
you
for
know.
the future, you might want to get some clear packing tape and clear packing tape it over the whole thing. That way, if
In
it
case
rains,
it rains. Yeah.
the
There
the
are a
print
couple
won't
of drops.
smear.
There are definitely a couple drops on this thing that faded from the rain. Actually, now that I'm looking at it.
To me, I caught that right away, and I was like, "What a touch!" And your
Yeah.
announcements and everything was super smooth and very well done. Again, I complimented you on the music. You killed the whole dance
Thank
set. It
you.
was awesome. You were paying attention to songs during the speeches. That
Oh.
was like
Oh
something
yeah, I
that
like that too. Yeah.
you were adding in songs as they were going. I was like, "Oh, let me do this." I know you know us, but you don't know some
No.
of the people that were speaking, and I caught all those little things
Yeah,
too.
it's
So it was really good.
in between speeches, usually just play some background music or whatever. But like if a girl is in the wedding party and says, "Oh, ever since we went to that Taylor Swift concert, you better believe I'm going to play a Taylor Swift song after she's done."
Right.
Or you actually texted me during one of them and was like, "Play Pennywise." And then
Yeah.
he was talking about like the hardcore music, and I'm like, "Oh, we have to play it now." And even Kevin's looking at me like, "You really want to play this?" I'm like, "Yes, play it," because it's those little things. And I can't tell you how many times people come up to me, like wedding couples are like, "How did you know to play that song? Like that was our song." I'm like, "Yeah, they said it in the toast." And you know, we're just, that's the beauty of these computers. We can quickly pull it up. So 100%, if you are doing a wedding and somebody during a toast mentions something to do with music and you can get that in time, you know, I've done like Lindsay Lohan, like that song before. I've done theme songs from TV shows. Like if they just anything that sticks out that they mention, just, you know,
Yeah,
make it personal.
I was gonna ask that about because you had most of them you had already preset like for the walk-ups. How do you plan those walk-ups and songs? Do you have those preset? Do you just have a crate with songs that you already do? Kind
Yeah.
of think about it, talk to the couple. What's your plan?
So I do have a folder that I make for every wedding, and I have the one folder with the basically that's like the framework, and then every wedding I drag the basic songs in, which is like just the filler stuff and the songs that I use that I talk over. And then I include the stuff that they requested, all their intro songs and everything too. I'm very, because like you said, the way that we do it at SCE is I always bring an assistant with me. When I'm on the microphone, my assistant's DJing, so I don't have to worry about it. So I can be out there. So I, before the wedding, have everything lined up in order. And in the comments section, I write, play when I start talking. Introductions, parents, introduction, wedding party, intro, you know, bride and groom, first dance, parent dance, stop at 2 minutes. You know, I have all of my notes in there. So they're not even looking at the paperwork. All they got to do is just look at the screen and it's all right there in the comments. Now, that's what I do for every couple. When I'm DJing for Fuse, he gives me every single track he wants me to play, the Fuse edit of it. So it was very easy. He made my job very easy. All I had to do was just drag it in, and then I you know, titled it my own way so that Kevin could follow along with what I'm saying. But yeah, so like normally, like I set the same cue point, like my last cue point, the cue point 8 is always like, I tell my assistants, you're always going to press that no matter what. Just that's always the cue point to go to. For Fuse, every single one, the beginning of the song till the end, all I had to do was just press. I mean, you know, I could have done it all myself if I really needed to, but made it very easy for me to do that. But yeah, you know, we always have the filler songs in between the toasts just in case. But if something does come up, I'm ready to go. You know, we just type it in and we're good to go.
Yep.
You know, we did the Shania Twain. That was like the big one. That's what we did.
Yeah. Oh boy, that video you got too, which he's going to be putting together some clips and a vlog. Kevin said he was going to be doing his own vlog.
Yeah. Kevin was shooting video the whole time. So what we're going to do is now, you know, Kevin's style is like talking to the camera a lot more like vlog style. And he's going to make his own video with the footage that he took. I'm going to take that same footage and make like a completely different video, just my style, which is basically just talk a little bit and then just bam, live. I like doing like the live audio. We'll show a couple of clips from the party. It'll be great. And then I mean, I have enough clips in there to post reels for months. Every single song was just everybody going nuts. So yeah, there was some good stuff, but the one that I sent you was just
It's going to be my next reel.
It's going to be when when the brides must play is the grooms do not play, and it's me playing Shania Twain and Ashley just dancing right in your face, having the time of her life, and you just standing there like disappointed, like I can't believe this is happening.
Well, the bride's always gonna win over the groom.
I showed it to her last night. She got a good chuckle out of it too. She thought it was hysterical. So.
Yeah.
Because we did the welcome party and you guys got to come, and I wanted you guys to be, just as much of a guest almost as, you were working the event. Everybody was saying how they loved you guys, and, they would run into you on the street and say hi or like, whatever. And I just think anytime, what I've learned even in the last year and a half, like bar stuff, and anytime you can be more hospitable and make something, more personal, it makes everything so much better for everybody. And, I think that everybody was like, oh, there's the DJs. They were awesome. They're fun. Like nice guys. Hey, waving on the street,
It was definitely fun, especially in that town because it's so small. I mean, you're just always running into people, and we were out the whole night. We're the only sober ones, but like we were, we had work to do the next day. But we wanted to be out there. I wanted to get to know people. I mean, I do it on a smaller scale when I'm at home doing weddings. Like, I know I'm not part of their crew or whatever, but like I want to be on a first name basis with some of them. I want them to feel comfortable coming up to me. I'm not a performer. I'm not up on stage. I'm doing their wedding. I want it to be personal. So you're absolutely right that like that's a huge part of being a wedding DJ. I think is getting the people comfortable with you. So that we were definitely able to do that by going out the night before, hanging out with everybody. Not only that, but like I knew some people in a different way. We've played video games. We played Call of Duty with some of your friends. So it was very interesting to be, I don't even know if I want to say their names on a podcast.
We can.
But there were some very inappropriate gamer tags that it's like, oh, DJ Demand, this is beep. But inappropriate gamer name 42069, and it's like but it was funny because I'm like, yeah, I've played games with some of these people before. Some of them are DJs that I've like that I've met a couple times before and had a chance to hang out with. Like I said, it was awesome seeing Simo. It was because I met him in Vegas, and but like and then like I said, everybody else was just so nice and so welcoming that it was by the time that we were at the wedding, yeah, like we felt like we were part of the party. Kevin was out there, singing along and dancing with everybody. So and you'll hear it in the background of the video.
The only other thing too I wanted to mention, which I thought of it last minute and you guys helped out with, is Ashley had like the surprise ending for her and her father-daughter dance. And I had been like racking my brain around it, like, oh, I don't want her dad to feel like awkward when that comes on, like, oh, what do I do now? So they had they had the slow song that they danced to, and then they had the part that he knew was going to be like the fun dancey song. But we had a quick like Metallica Fuel in there, which he didn't know was going to happen. And I was like, I really don't want him to feel awkward here. So that's when the week of the wedding, I thought of it, and I got 2 blow up guitars and gave them to Demand and Kevin. And they blew them up and they handed them out right as that hit. And then they, her and her dad played air guitar to it. And I thought that was a great little touch to for that to not be awkward.
It gave them the moment. You got some cool pictures. And then 20 seconds later, we just faded out and got a round of applause. It was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that.
Yeah.
And then my nephew William was air smashing the guitar later on the dance floor part of the night. So it had multiple purposes.
Yeah.
But
well, you killed the whole set. It was an awesome set. You
appreciate it.
You had everybody going crazy the whole time. So yeah, good job.
And they'll be able to hear the live version of that set.
Of course. Recorded the whole thing.
But yeah, thanks. It couldn't have went better. There's nothing I would change. There's absolutely nothing I would change.
Well, I was honored when you asked me, and I just the whole time, leading up to it, of course, I knew it'd be great, but nervous. I wanted to make sure it was perfect for you. And, I'm just happy I was able to be a part of that day. Cause it really, I mean it, not just cause we're friends. Like that was, one of the most memorable weddings I've ever, and will ever probably, be at. So.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Is there anything else that you noticed as just a guest or anything like that?
Not every single song counts, I guess. sometimes overthink every single song because sometimes you're talking with other guests. I think it's all important, the vibe, but I couldn't tell you every song Demand played, because I was talking with
Right.
people and singing along or going to get a drink or whatever. So don't always think just because someone's not right there that they're not having fun. There's so much else going on at the wedding that if you're not right on the dance floor, it's still having fun.
And pro tip, a lot of these catering companies aren't allowed to pour shots, but if you ask for one ice cube in the drink, they'll give it to you with only one ice cube.
I mean, is that it for the wedding? I was gonna just ask the rest of his trip and see if
Yeah, I think
Yeah. So the trip, like I said, it was 10 days long. Me and Kevin in a car together.
Wild.
Yeah.
10 days.
If it was 12 days, we might not be friends right now, but no, he was an amazing, travel companion. We knew going into it, like, that's a long time to be together. I think we were both like extra careful not to piss off the other one. Of course, little things would start to build up over time, but like, I mean, we ultimately, we had an amazing time. He was a trooper because, a lot of this trip was selfish for me. Like, I wanted to go to Myrtle Beach to see my brother. I have two nieces that are like 4 and 6, and, I never get to see them. So I spent the whole day down there. During that day, we hung out with Icon, who's down there too. And there was at one point when, like, I went to my niece's, or her gymnastics. So like, Kevin just hung out with Icon, during that time. And then we all met up together, went out to dinner, some down south barbecue and all that. So we had a great time in Myrtle. We went to Disney after that, which now I'm a huge fan of. And, spent the day in Disney. We did 3 parks in one day, just hopping back and forth. And then we did, after that, we ended up in Key West for the wedding. Like I said, just in time to go out the night before, that pre-party the night before. And then you packed me with like a whole 6-foot sub that lasted me the next 2 days of the trip, which is great. And then on the way back, we hit up Universal. We went to, the Harry Potter world, all that. And then back to my brother's, stopped by Bucky's and, did all the touristy type of stuff. We did the, that Key West drive, everybody says you got to do it once. And I mean, it is just incredible.
So gorgeous.
When we got to Key West, it was sunset. I mean, I have some pictures that were just unbelievable. Funny fact about Kevin, he is scared of bridges. And Key West is not the place to be driving if you're scared of bridges.
Definitely not if you're afraid of bridges.
But
the other thing about Kevin, when I tuned into earlier today when you were talking about this with Nick, is you guys coined him the king of small talk, which had me fucking dying, because you were like, he'll just strike up a conversation with somebody pumping gas on the other side.
You can't go anywhere. He has to talk to he can't just sit there and just be quiet. If there's somebody within, hearing distance, he's going to start a conversation with them.
Hey, that's a nice gas pump you got there. What kind of gas you putting in that car?
I mean, it was just there were so many times that or he wants to work. We're at Epcot, where they do the drinking around the world thing, right? So you go to the register first. You buy the drink, they give you a receipt, and then you take it to the tap, and then somebody else pours a drink for you. So we just got the drinks. He sees this couple, these group of people that want to get a drink, and they're just going right to the tap. Oh, excuse me. No. You have to actually go around to the register. And I'm like, how long are you going to stand here and just direct? Like, do you just want to start working here? Because if I would have let him, he would have just stood there for 10 minutes directing traffic around the right way. I mean, he can't control it. He has to be doing that. That was like my one when Nick was like, because I was on Nick Spinelli's show, talking a little bit about it, and I was like, yeah, that was my one thing about it. I'm like, he can't just sit there. He has to talk to people. But if that's the worst thing, that's not bad.
The snaps too, like some of the snaps when you guys started driving, and he would be like, "All right, guys, we are taking a 19-state road trip," and then you would be like, "It's actually 6," and he'd be like, "All right, it's actually 6." I was dying at some of them. I was literally laughing out loud.
He loves narrating everything that's happening, so I'll call him out on everything that's wrong. But he's one of my best friends, and we haven't even known each other that long. We just got close over the whole stay at home 2020 time, and we've just grown really close. But so he was a great person to take along on the trip, and he was a trooper. He all the family stuff that I did, he was in there for. Whatever I wanted to do, he was cool with. He's not a picture person, and I'm like, dude, like we're at the southernmost point of the continental U.S. There's a big picture. It's right here. You have to take that picture in front of that thing, and and he's like, nah, I don't care. And I'm like, dude, like you're never like, when are you gonna get to do this? He just didn't care about pictures at all. We're at Disney at the Star Wars. I'm like, you love Star Wars. Take a picture. Like we're in front of the Millennium Falcon. It's like, whatever. It's no big deal. So I'm like, I forced him to take pictures the whole trip. So
I just loved every time I looked up the dancing part. He's like partying with the camera. Like,
oh. And the footage, I'm telling you, I'm struggling right now trying to figure out how to do this footage because it's shaky because he's dancing and he's singing and yelling and commenting in every single clip that we have. So yeah, like I said, it was hard not to have a blast at that party. So blame
I took a bunch. I'll send both of you guys as soon as.
And you went live. You went live, right?
I don't think I can save it.
Yeah, no, I think that one was done.
I just remember coming up to you like, go live.
It died at some point, and then I was like trying to figure out how to save it again. But yeah, I don't know if you can go back in there. You get
sometimes sometimes things are just best left in the moment.
Yeah, very true. But now I got a lot of footage.
Unlike that cocktail set, though.
Recorded for life. Yeah. Well, it was amazing. I have nothing but great things to say. Yeah, it was such a fun trip. We're barely recovering. I feel like today I feel a little bit more like myself. Key West will definitely drive you to the ground. Drinking too much.
For anybody that's never been there before, how would you two describe it?
New Orleans meets Hawaii meets Florida. I don't know.
I mean,
Nashville.
Yeah,
Nashville. New Orleans and Nashville meets Hawaii.
During the day, Duval Street is just old people in flower shirts. It's all that it is. It's just old people in flower shirts, just all around, just going to all the shops, buying all the, all the souvenirs and stuff like that. Just old people, and then dinner, and then all of a sudden it's like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. It really is. It's like, it just like that. It just goes from being, like all your grandparents are there to it's now like a complete nightlife spot, and people are walking down the street with cups of drinks and go bar hopping. And it was crazy. Like, there were no lines. You could get in anywhere you wanted to get in, but everywhere was packed, like, or, at least a good crowd. Like,
right.
There's no pressure to dress up or to, it's just a very relaxed place. It's not like tense, like Vegas, where are we wearing the right shoes? Are they going to let us in? No cover charges. It was just go in and enjoy. I just got pissed off because every bar we went to, Kevin got carded and I didn't. And I'm like,
now, Fuse, you've been there many times. Is that just because of the time of year, or is that because?
I would say it's like that. Obviously, that this time of year, it's a lot more busy. You can visit in the summertime / hurricane season when it's cheaper, but it's also much hotter. The weather is a lot more desirable, where it's like kind of cool but warm, cooler at night, warmer during the day. But the one thing that I think is cool, and kind of you guys both said it, is the reason we picked it there, is it's really all ages. And I that's what I liked, is like I wanted older people that were coming and younger people to be able to all kind of share the fun experience together. And that's what made me really want to do it there. And, I don't know if you guys really got to, but a lot of the restaurants and stuff kind of off Duval, it's really pretty. Obviously the Autobahn house is just full of greenery, and unfortunately the rain, it would have been a lot cooler with no rain and lit up with uplights and stuff, but the rain prevented that. But there are so many unique just things that are just really unique to down there. And while it might be Florida, to me it feels less Florida than the rest of Florida.
Sure, definitely. I think it's just one of those places where anybody can go there and make what they want out of it. If you want to go there and party and rage for a week, you could do that. If you want to go have a nice relaxing time and, be on the water, you could do that. It's definitely cool. It was my first time there. So
that's why I said Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's all tourists, right? That's different. Like, it's really hard to get to. You either fly in or you drive in, and there's not a lot of flights in. So yeah, it's
I
hard to
think
get to.
even some of the people that drove in, that I've obviously talked to a lot of people, but it was like over their expectations. Like some of the industry folks had to drive out at like 5 a.m. and they were like basically on the 7 Mile bridge as like the sun was rising, and they all had like snaps of like,
Mhm.
and I think some of that stuff, in the moment, while it might seem like annoying or exhausting, you'll see it on TV or you'll think back and it'll be like, man, I'm really glad I got to experience it, and I'll really miss, maybe that might be my only time down there, because that's how I feel about places when I travel. If I see it like on TV or I see it in the background of something, I'm always like, oh man, makes me want to go back there,
Yep. Mhm.
Right.
Thanks for being on with us. I can't say thank you enough for the wedding and everything that you did for us. And Ashley feels the exact same way. And we're both thrilled and so happy with the way everything went and everybody being there. So I hope that people find this episode, helpful as a recap, and just, if there's any questions, please reach out to myself, reach out to Demand or Drew. We're happy to talk any more about, traveling or anything that you might think of. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Is there
Yeah.
anything else?
Thank you guys for having me, and once again, thanks for having me.
Let them know where they can find you.
At DJ Demand, DJ DEMAND Demand for pretty much everything, and I'm with SCE Event Group. So
yeah, and if you guys are true fans of the show, you would already know where to find him, because this is the third time he's been on the show. So there's
keep coming back for recaps.
So that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Make sure you're finding us on the Crate Hackers and using the DMS promo code. And that's it. Yep. Peace.
Peace.
Later.